Congressman King, let me bring you in on this as well. From what you know, do you have any problems with the SWIFT program, this tracking of financial records? And what about the argument that even if it was an emergency after 9/11, that 5 years after the fact, this has become a permanent program and that you should get approval from the courts and Congress?
Chris, I think the administration acted entirely appropriately. The 1976 U.S. Supreme Court case gives them, to me, the absolute right to do this. They're in full compliance with all statutes. To me, the real question here is the conduct of the New York Times. By disclosing this in time of war, they have compromised America's anti-terrorist policies. This is a very effective policy. They have compromised it. This is the second time the New York Times has done this. And to me, no one elected the New York Times to do anything. And the New York Times is putting its own arrogant, elitist, left-wing agenda before the interests of the American people. And I'm calling on the Attorney General to begin a criminal investigation and prosecution of the New York Times, its reporters, the editors that worked on this, and the publisher. We're in time of war, Chris, and what they've done here is absolutely disgraceful. I believe they've violated the Espionage Act, the Comint Act. This is absolutely disgraceful. The time has come for the American people to realize, and the New York Times to realize, we're at war. And they can't be just on their own deciding what to declassify, what to release. If Congress wants to work on this privately, that's one thing. But for them to, on their own, for them to decide, for the editor of the New York Times to say that he decides it's in the national interest, no one elected them anything. Remember, this is the newspaper that brought us Jason Blair. Going back a few years ago, they're the ones who gave Fidel Castro his job in Cuba. They have no right to do this at all. The First Amendment is not absolute, certainly when it comes to something like this, which to me is a clear violation of statutory law.